Welcome to Siboga TV, which is actually the home of politics. And today we have a general talk about what has been actually happening in our political arena and lessons to learn from that occurrence. Because around 4 days ago, Raila Molo Odinga actually was endorsed to vie for the big chair at the AU, the chairperson, the chairship of AU Commission. And actually, many people never saw that coming by because it took very many people into surprise because actually it was being said that Raila Molo Odinga was preparing himself to go for the top seat of this republic because, as you can remember, Raila Molo Odinga had kicked having what we call registration of membership of the ODM party across the nation. And many people had led that Raila Molo Odinga was going to step at presidency the 60th time. And actually, when this news about Raila Molo Odinga being endorsed to take up or to fight for the chairmanship at the AU, it really shocked very many people, and more so people from the Asmio side. And most of the leaders within the Asmio fraternity, they were not aware that Raila Molo Odinga was going to be endorsed so that he can go and fight for the top seat of chairpersonship in the AU. So it really shocked very many individuals and even the leaders from the Asmio side. It was actually hard for most of them to come to realization that that is what was happening, because Raila Molo Odinga is a big brand within the opposition side. And we have very many politicians who actually feel safeguarded when Raila Molo Odinga is within the vicinity of our politics. So people were shocked that is Raila Molo Odinga really that he is going to fight for the top seat at the AU? And that meant that if Raila Molo Odinga actually was going to fight for the top seat at AU, that means he must resign as the leader of Asimio. He must also resign as the leader of what? Of ODM. And that's why you will find that even ODM as a party, currently now, there's confusion everywhere that if Raila Molo Odinga could actually say bye to the party and he is not going to involve himself in the internal politics of this country, what is going to happen? Because we have politicians who have actually been in the political arena for a very long time, and merely because of the Raila presence, you will find that those politicians are actually scared. And that's why you will find that within the ODM fraternity, you cannot actually tell the politician within that fraternity that Raila should actually retire from active politics, because they know that if Raila Molo Odinga could actually retire, then we are going to have very many political pariahs of very many politicians. Because so long as Raila Molo Odinga is in the limelight, there are people who will actually get a political mileage by virtue that Raila Amolo Odinga is there. They will be always be winning. But if they have to stand on their own, then it means that it's going to be very difficult for them to make it. And that's why the endorsement of Raila Amolo Odinga to the AU was actually a shocker to those kind of politicians. And even the principals within the Azimio fraternity, they were actually caught unaware. And many people thought it was an handshake, but they found that it was not really an handshake. And if there was an handshake, it had already happened the time back when we had mass action. And that's why one of the politicians who was actually very bitter because of that endorsement, he came out and said that we have been on the roads because Raila Amolo Odinga actually wanted to invent himself to be politically relevant so that he can have a silent handshake with William Samuel Ruto. So those politicians, they were actually very bitter because they never thought that Raila Amolo Odinga was going to be endorsed so that he was to fight for the chairperson of the AU, and politicians with for his political gain. So there are various lessons we must learn from this happening of Raila Amolo Odinga being endorsed by William Samuel Ruto to go to the AU, because many people never thought that William Samuel Ruto could endorse his opposition counterpart Raila Amolo Odinga so that he can go to the AU. So there's one thing we must learn, that in politics, actually we don't have what we call permanent enemies. Today, politician will appear to be an enemy with another politician. But tomorrow, the same politicians who are today enemies, tomorrow they can be allies. They can come together for their what? Their political gain. And that's why people must understand that in politics, we don't have a permanent enemy. Because as long as you can remember, William Ruto were working with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta hand in hand. Even they reached a point where they were saying, kumi yako, kumi yangu. But during the second term, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta had to betray William Samuel Ruto and actually endorse Raila Amolo Odinga for presidency. And William Samuel Ruto was left alone. So the people used to be enemy because politically it was seen that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was an enemy to Raila Amolo Odinga. But when it reached 2022, because they have their interest had kept together, they had to stand with each other. And now, when it has reached that we need somebody to represent East Africa community at the AU, now the William Samuel Ruto, who used to be an enemy, a political enemy with Raila Amolo Odinga, they have actually come together. And William Samuel Ruto has actually endorsed Raila Amolo Odinga. So we have to learn that lesson from today, that politicians will always come together when their interests meet. That's what we have to know. So there is no permanent political enemy. So that's the first reason we have to know. And another thing we have to learn from this is that politicians actually they use the citizen for their own political interest. You will find that politicians can come out here. They tell us that if we have mass action, if we go to the streets, then they are going to help us to make the government to bring down the cost of living. But in the back of their mind, they are just using that to meet their political interest. And once their political interest actually they converge, they will always leave wananchi to be on their own. And that's what we have to learn, even from this from this endorsement of Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto. Because Raila Amolo Odinga had told the people of Kenya that we should have mass action. And people went to the streets. Then all of a sudden, Olusegun Obasanjo appeared. He made Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto to come together. And that's why today, William Samoei Ruto is endorsing Raila Amolo Odinga to the AU. And we are left there wondering, why did we have to go to the streets? Because the cost of living still, it's quite high. So that's another thing we must know. And another thing which we must learn is that in politics, you must always invent yourself to be politically relevant to the present situation. If you are a politician, always you have to invent yourself. You have to change yourself so that you can fit the present scenario of politics. And that's actually what Raila Amolo Odinga has actually taught us. Because all the time, Raila Amolo Odinga invents himself from time to time. That's why sometimes it reaches to a point where we say Raila Amolo Odinga is going to be finished completely. But all of a sudden, you find that Raila Amolo Odinga has reinvented himself and he has become a star to the present to the present situation. So if you are in politics, you must learn that you must keep on reinventing yourself so that you can suit the current the current scenario in the political arena. Because what was there, it's like now saying, as we approached 2022 election, William Samoei Ruto was talking about hustlers. And that made him to go to the State House or get the power of this nation. Next time, you will find William Samoei Ruto will come up in a different way. And that will propel him to maintain having the power or to maintain being in State House. And that's what Raila Amolo Odinga has been doing now and again. He has reinventing himself. And that's why Raila Amolo Odinga has been in politics for a very long time. Since when we were children, we used to hear about Raila Amolo Odinga. Why? Because of that heart of reinventing himself now and again to become suitable to the present political scenario. So those are the things we must learn from what has been happening in our political arena. And There is also another thing we must accept in life, that Raila Amolo Odinga is a genius, is a political genius, because the way he do his things. One time he is a political enemy with somebody, another time he calls that person bro, another time he calls another politician you are a thief, another time you are okay. So Raila Amolo Odinga is a person who you cannot choke at, because he knows how to reinvent himself now and again. So what is you are saying about what has been happening? What do you learn from the happening in our political arena? Please drop your comment in the comment section below. And if this is your first time to pump into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly to take a minute or two and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give this video thumbs up, share the video to your friends, and if your friends are lovers of politics, then it's good to request them to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And with that, I say thank you, and may God bless you abundantly until we meet in our next political conversation. Thank you.